Hey everyone, and welcome back to this short little series called The Retail of Chicago here on the Urbex channel, where we're taking a look at Chicago's famous retail in downtown. Today we'll be taking a look at the Gothic Target here on State Street in downtown Chicago. And yes, it is called the Gothic Target by many of the locals. Now, why is it called the Gothic Target? Well, just take a look at the facade of this building here. It is insane. I mean, it just looks like something out of a Gothic person's fever dream, doesn't it? Want to see more awesome videos just like this one? All you have to do is click the join button below this video and you'll gain access to extra weekly content and so much more. Thank you for joining and supporting the future of video. This building that the Target now resides in used to be Carson Perie Scott's flagship store. And so I feel it's appropriate to tell you all about its history, leading up to it becoming a Target. Carson Perie Scott was a prominent department store in Chicago. Its roots can be traced all the way back to 1854 when Samuel Carson and John T. Pride would open a dry goods store. Over the years, the business would expand and evolve, and in 1871, after the Great Fire of Chicago, the store would move to a new building. Its architecture would be designed by the famous Louis Sullivan. The store's most iconic chapter in history would unfold in 1904 when Sullivan would redesign the store's facade and interior. He would use his famous ornate ironwork and intricate designs on the building, particularly the famous decorative bronze entrance, which made the store an architectural masterpiece and a symbol of Chicago's early skyscraper design. Carson Perie Scott would continue to be a major retail player for many decades, expanding its reach and acquiring other department stores. However, like many traditional department stores, it would face challenges in the latter part of the 20th century due to changing consumer trends and increased competition. In 2006, the Bonton stores would acquire Carson's parent company, and this is what I remember of Carson's because I knew them as Carson's, the Bonton stores, Elder Beerman, just a whole conglomerate of a bunch of department stores kind of under one umbrella. Unfortunately, Carson Perie Scott would continue to decline, and the last of their stores would close in 2018 as a result of bankruptcy and liquidation. Now, there has been a lot of talk over the last few years about Carson's being resurrected and opening new physical store locations, but I've yet to actually see one manifest. They talked about reopening one way out in the suburbs of Chicago, and then again they talked about opening one in Joliet at their local mall, and I haven't seen or heard anything further. There currently isn't one there now, so I don't know what the deal is. But despite the closure of the department store, the legacy of Carson Perie Scott endures in the architectural significance of its Sullivan-designed building, which remains an iconic landmark on State Street in Chicago. Now, I couldn't really find any solid information on this, but I would assume with all of the acquisitions and mergers that at some point in the past, they just decided not to continue to operate the Carson's flagship store here on State Street. Because on October 8th of 2012, Target would open in the historic Carson Perie Scott building. It became a notable addition to the city's retail landscape. The store's location had a rich history, originally serving as the flagship store for Carson Perie Scott, as we discussed earlier. It was designed by the renowned architect Louis Sullivan, and Target's presence in this iconic building has continued to revitalize the State Street shopping district. And I'm really glad that they came in and this Target now occupies the once grand store, and I love that they kept all the history of the building intact. Being someone who works in retail and films malls and stores for a living, I could see myself taking one of the iconic trains downtown, hopping out, and going to work at this Target. That would be amazing, not having to get in a car and fight traffic. Well, I don't really have to fight traffic because my work's like 5 minutes down the road, but you get the point. For a lot of people, they don't have that luxury to just get on a train and end up at a store where they work. It's just so cool, and I love that it has 2 levels and all the ornate architecture in here. It's stuff you don't see anymore. And let me tell you, even comparing this Target to a super Target that you might find throughout the country, I know a lot of the regions in the United States don't have a super Target and don't know what it is. It's basically like the Walmart Supercenters, but Target's version. It's better than the Walmart Supercenters. They have a full-on grocery store. It's bigger. But this store being 2 levels, it just felt like it was massive. And I don't know, maybe that's just kind of an illusion, but I liked the layout. I loved all the natural light that came into the store. It was just great. Something you don't get to experience in normal Targets. So I'm going to leave you here to enjoy the rest of the store. Thanks for coming along with me to downtown Chicago to check out the history of Carson Perie Scott, now the Target store. If you're enjoying this series, why not check out my channel memberships by clicking the join button below to gain access to more videos just like this, or click the link in the description box below or on screen for my Patreon. Thank you for all your support, and I will see you on another episode of Urbex.